I'm Jim Richardson. I'm a photographer for National Geographic magazine. For the last 2 years, I've been out covering the Celtic realm, all those areas out on the edge of northwest Europe where the Celts were pushed out as they lost their grip on the mainland and came to live out on the rocky edges of Europe, out there in Scotland, Ireland, Wales, down in the tip of Cornwall, where my ancestors all came from, clear down through the Isle of Man into Brittany and even Galicia down in the northwest corner of Spain. That living out on the edge of the countries really forged their character. It is one of the things that distinguishes them as an enduring people who have not given up. It sort of fragmented them, but now they find themselves coming back together, united by a shared vision and an indomitable spirit. You know, if you had to describe the spirit of the Celtic people, I think you would think of terms like poetic, wild, unbridled. They're sort of your Wild West cousins who never entirely got civilized, but they're great fun to be around, and you can see that in all kinds of places. You can go down to Galicia, and here they are out there wrestling horses, wild horses, to the ground at our Rapas das Bestas. I loved going up to Edinburgh to the May Day festival up on Calton Hill at midnight, you know, with the May Queen coming out and leading her entourage through the pagan stations of air and fire and earth. It's very primal. It's very much a sense of grabbing a hold of the wildness and going along for the ride. And it's very much rooted in the earth and almost what you might think of as hard living, but also hard fun. And every time you go into one of those pubs in Ireland or a tavern down in Galicia, you see how music is the very soul of their life. It is at the heart of their being, you know, and if you go in there, you'd better be willing to wait till midnight till things really start going and be there till 5 in the morning when the dancing stops. It is not for the faint of heart and is not for anyone who doesn't want to be fully involved. Well, what was so interesting to me about doing this story is that generally when we think of the Celts, we think of an ancient tribe, you know, long since gone. And that's not the case. The Celts are a living group, a living culture that's growing and expanding, attracting new influences all the time. And everybody seems to want a piece of it. Very often, too, you have blood Celts, those Celts who have some deep ethnic link through the Celtic world. But you also now have Celts of the spirit and Celts of the heart. You can see them in those 20,000 people who gather together at Stonehenge. You can see it when a tour group comes through from Minnesota to lay their hands on the stones at the Giant's Ring outside of Belfast. All those people who go out to Inishmore, part of the Aran Islands on the west coast of Ireland. When a Japanese couple comes from Tokyo to be married by a Celtic priest in an ancient ruins of a Celtic church. All of that is part and parcel of people being drawn by the magic and hoping to be part of it. One writer called the Celts Europe's beautiful losers. And there is amongst them that sense that there was a glorious past that is gone, and yet there is also always amongst them this longing hope for a new future that will be even more glorious. The present for the Celts is always at the junction of those two forces. And it makes for a present that has a wonderful sense of being connected with where they came from and where they're going. And for all the forces that have driven the Celtic people apart over these last 2,000 years, we're not dead yet. We're still coming together. We're still growing. We're going to be here for a long time.